It does not. This week has not been the best for us. It feels like, when your goat is falling from grace, when they're not dipping in the honey that they really should be, they're ruining the legacy that they had in front of them. Well, they had behind them at this point now. As y'all know, recently there has been a lot of audio leaks from Young Thug's jail cell back when he was in his prison calls? Yeah. Okay, if you've been living under the rock, Young Thug has been yapping. He has been goosaping. He's been gossiping like a mug on those jail phones. And honestly, as I'm looking at this whole scenario, I have a couple things I want to say. Number one, I really wonder who is it that is getting access to these calls, and why do you care so much? Honestly, it has to be an undercover thing to remove all credibility from Young Thug. That's like the main thing that I'm getting from it, because of even with all of the nonsense wahala that I've been hearing in the context to Gunna and things of that nature, it feels too. It feels too perfect for these audio calls to be dropping at this moment. And honestly, I know he lost a big one once he heard his voice trending everywhere. And honestly, it's getting to the point where this guy was so methodical with it. He said, hey, every single day it will be every single day, it will be a new person. It will be a new major head in the industry. It'll get to the point where if you were messing with if you were messing with Thug, just know he's going to be talking about you too. And honestly, I don't even... Because of he even went on this podcast and he was talking about it. He was like, oh man, I don't even know what I was doing at the moment. I was so messed up in the head that's just my only outlet. And honestly, he didn't even need to say all that. He literally could have just been like, I was with my girl, bro. I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. And that's one of the things that makes me so furious, especially recently watching everyone's reactions to the audio clips that are coming out. First of all, why are y'all acting like y'all don't be telling y'all girls everything? Why are you acting that anything that you hear in your ear does not go inside her ear? At that point, you might as well just tell her. You might as well go ahead and whisper into his girl's ear. So that's all I gotta say about that. And honestly, he was in jail let me stop saying jail. I'm pretty sure that was prison, jail, beyond the point. He was locked up for so long. It was like bordering on, what was it? 800, 900 days in jail? That's wild. That is insane. So honestly, if you tried this case 100 times in 100 different universes, more times than not, he would definitely be rotting away in prison for that 125 years. This was by happenstance. So it feels like it's very understanding that this is where it all went. But honestly, it sounds so wild listening to these audio clips, especially in context of the stuff that they were talking about too. And as you were listening to it, you're like, wow. So not only is this lack of trust, lack of guy code being just thrown to the side for this instance, but it feels like, so not only are these audios being released, who is signing off on it? Because from the most that I know about it, since it's public records, you're supposed to be able to find the audio tape in context to the trial that is going on. But the fact that it seems like this individual is literally just like grabbing it and just throwing it out, or an alternate scenario could be in a case where it's like, because honestly, it could be a thing where somebody gets these audio tapes, and then they just keep releasing it, trying to get as much money as possible, because of this is a fantastic gold mine worth of content right here. And this whole Young Thug, Gunna, this whole scenario has done so much for conversation for me, at least personally, because of I have seen so many people talking about this, street code that, without having a crumb of knowledge of it, right? And then you start to notice, the streets are really, it's dumb. Like the whole ideology of it just does not work, and it's so frustrating because it feels like not only does it handicap you going forward in life, but it holds you to these codes that don't really help you in the long run. If anything, it only sets you in this position that you are in right now, where you actually actively have to eat from the hand that is feeding you, which in my opinion, sure, that's how everyone lives their life. They have to go to their job, they go to their boss, on. But it's not enough bread. I think that's always been the main thing that always drew me away from it, that always just made me think to myself, why is this the route that you want to take? Because it's like the feds start knocking on people's doors after $30,000. They start trying to make sure they get their little cut too. So that's that's part of it. But back to these phone calls. The one that I want to hit on, honestly, I'm gonna go through a lot of them because of each of them sounded crazier than the last. So I want to start off. There's this call he's having with 21, and he's venting to 21, right? And it gets to the point where Thug is like, I literally have this man's career in my hand. I made him this way. I am the guy that put him on. So the fact that I can sit here and watch him just do what he did to me, oh my God, it blew him. It blew him. And as you were listening, you could hear how obscenely hurt this young man is. You can tell how hurt he is because of not only, let's look at it from his own perspective. Let's look at it from his perspective, where it's a case where kind of reminds me of the Yachty stuff, but it kind of reminds me of the Yachty stuff where you have one individual that's just like putting on everybody else around, but there's two vastly different things in the case of how much like influence each party has on the other person. But the main reason why I bring that up, it feels like when you are actively helping somebody, right? And then you go and you watch them turn their back on you. You can feel that type of betrayal, even if you are wrong in the instance. Because 21 said it. 21 said, he was like, hold on. He didn't even, for the instance that you are claiming, that wasn't even a rat for real. He took the same plea your brother took. So what are we really talking about? And honestly, and second note, 21, I did not think you would be the voice of reason out of all of this. I did not think that you would be the one to be like, okay. Before you go start trying to ruin people, let's just take a deep breath and just get, how will this affect the money? How will it affect my money? Why are you not just focusing on these albums? Put all this energy into the album. What's going on? And then speaking of albums, actually, let's not even talk about, I don't want to even talk about albums right now. I want to talk about the sheer variety of the amount of people that he was talking stuff about, right? Because of the one that truly blew me. I was going to keep this week all towards sports, but then he went and called Glorilla ugly. Why? Why? And then you look left, he's like, who did Kendrick put on? But why? That Kendrick one was blowing me the most because he was like, you'll never be as big as Drake. You never giving out features. You never not putting on help and doing it. Now I'm sitting back and I'm watching. I don't think we need a bunch of Kendrick features. I don't think that's what we need. I like Kendrick being by himself. Let him go to the side and do the business as you will. And that's also another thing. As you listen to these audio tapes, you start to notice he did not think any of this would have came out. I think that's why he got so wild with the type of comments he was making, right? But I'm sitting back and I'm like, this feels like for the amount of audio that's been released, why are you making podcasts on the Geo phone? That's what I'm saying. Why are you recording hour-long yap sessions on the pay phone? You know they're recording, right? And that's honestly what I first started this podcast. That's one of the things that I thought. It always felt like that was the main purpose of podcasts, right? Where you get a chance to have a conversation with an individual that you were never supposed to really get to know as intimately as you would, right? But then you're sitting here and you're just yapping and yapping and yapping. And you know what? I don't even blame him. I don't even blame him, because it gets to the point where you thought you're doing some comedic timing, but then you're out here but then you end up forgetting that you are a major artist. You forget who you are because you're just getting here in your flow state. You're just yapping and you don't know what you be talking about, or at least even if you did, you're forgetting how the optics look. I think that's the main word that we're going to use with this whole video. Optics are a very big thing when it comes to being a superstar. Because of as I'm listening to these, I'm like, yeah, this is going to be a crazy headline. Yep, this is going to be also a crazy headline. Yep, this is also going to be a crazy headline. Oh my God. And then not even mentioning the amount of random individuals that seem to be involved, right? I did not know how gruesome it is to try and make an album, right? You go ahead, you make the album, you bring everyone together, you end up trying to make it as big as possible. You start bragging in random people to make sure your thing is a hit. You grab a guy like Morgan Wallen, and then you grab Business and Business was a very interesting album, but beyond the point. You do all these different things, and then when it flops, you're like, oh, you know what? We'll buy these bots. And that brings us to my next topic. I wonder how readily available is this botting stuff really is. And it makes me fear for the music industry as a whole, when it comes to stuff like this, because of the amount of artists major artists that I've heard say, oh no, we will just use bots. We are going to start botting our music. That is crazy, because of not only are you falsifying these metrics and these numbers, but you're also sitting here and faking it. You're just faking it. There's a clip in particular, right? He's like, okay, I think he's talking about his manager. He's talking with his manager about how the streams are not going that well. His manager's letting him know, it's like, yeah, you're probably not going to be able to get number one overall. That's just the way it works. And he's like, okay, we will figure that out. Why we even get this? He was throwing out shots randomly too. That's why I mentioned Morgan Wallen earlier. He was like, why would we even have bro on the stage? But you know what? If we can't beat him, join him. First of all, pause. So you're just doing this for the bread. And then you start to click. It starts to remember people are making music for different reasons. People don't want to be the greatest. Some people don't want to be mentioned as an all-time iconic individual, things of that nature. That's fine. Some people only want to be known as the most money-making ass, holding the most bread ass, just being the guy with all the able to run everything, doing everything with their hand, making sure that they're the reason why everything is happening. Sure, fine, have it. But one thing I will say, he goes in like, oh, do you still have the plug for the boosting the streams? He's like, oh, of course I got you. Yeah, I'll call me in an hour. We'll get it done. What are we doing? And my thing is, I feel like this is really disingenuous, because it gets to the point where, okay, so as a collective, we know a lot of these numbers are fake, right? How are we going to be marketing these numbers? And are you going to be able to, not only are you going to be putting your music ahead of everybody else, right? Even though people aren't really messing with your music, you're still going to be seen as number one top dog, right? So not only is the weak rising to the top, and that also got me thinking, because of in my heart, there's been so many artists that's been hot for so long that I sit back and I'm like, I don't believe you are as good as you were 5 years ago, for example. Like, not everyone is. That's not a thing. That is not a common occurrence where artists just continuously, gradually get better. But my thing is, not only are you stunting music, but you're going around acting like you're this big dog when you are literally buying your clouts. Is that not ridiculous? And not only are you buying your clout, you're suppressing the real talents. And that's why we have people on TikTok right now. We have artists that are selling their soul on these algorithms to be able to get their stuff to trend and push to get it to be able to get any eyes on their stuff, right? And just for them to be losing to fake listeners, people that don't actually love the music, people that are just doing it for the check, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Oh, and I feel like that's a big red flag when you are trying to navigate the forward facing of the music world, right? Because if it gets to the point where you don't know what would work, and nothing can work anymore. Nothing can work if you don't have enough money behind you to be able to step on the playing field to actually have a chance. But no, that's very, very frustrating. And I wonder if there's going to be some legal blowback for stuff like that too. Because it's like, if you're boosting your... Well, actually, no, I take that all back. The major labels definitely know. They definitely know. They definitely. And if anything, it might end up helping them on their end as well. Because it's like, well, my artist has more streams now. I can now advertise this artist as a